Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Less Known Classics. This is episode number 3285, Doubleshot number 3179. I got one Marvel trade, which is going to be the last one discussing for a particular volume. Another is a mini-series for the B.P.R.D. One of two. And it'll be the second last thing to discuss B.P.R.D. I'll discuss in a minute. So, first up we have is Silk, Volume 2, known as The Negative. This collects Silk Volume 2, issues 9 and 13. Written by Robert Thompson. Artwork by Stacey Lee, who does issue 9 and 10 and 13 is Tina Ford. So, mostly put for these issues, we kind of wrap up the storyline that's going into issue 1, related to, first we wrap up the story with Black Cat, where basically Silk was basically undercover organization, which of course led to some of her members of her crew being arrested, and then of course Black Cat gets away, and then this leads to the very next story arc, where it actually leads to something that, well, that's been a story element for the character since her debut, where her parents. And, well, she goes on to the dimension, and she finds them. Yep. And they, of course, go home. You think at this point, like, wow, series over. We pretty much resolved the big plot thread that drove this series. Yes. Like, she found her parents, and she's reunited with them, and you would think at this point they wrap up a nice little bow, but no. By the way, it feels like basically you read this like, wow, this feels like the end of the volume because story's over. Nope, this volume went on for another 6 more issues. Yep, 6 more. I give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. So, what happened next? Well, first we had the next, believe it or not, the next 4 issues part of the Clone Conspiracy storyline. But I should also discuss here issues 18 and 19, because this volume lasted for 19 issues. My guess is probably the reason why that Robert Thompson decided to end this particular number. Do I think it's because of sales? I highly doubt it. I guess they figured, though, because the Clone Conspiracy was probably something he was asked to do, because I'm sure that probably when he finished Get the 13, he probably felt as if the story was done. But the Clone Conspiracy feels like an addition. Issue 18 is an aftermath issue where, basically because of the Clone Conspiracy, J. Jonah Jameson has resigned from Fact Channel. And later on he joins Red Menaces in their book. And he of course calls Cindy, he calls her Analog, because basically he likes the fact she's a bit old, like he likes the same stuff he did. And basically it's like, then she kind of gets recruited to join the Shield Academy, which this really doesn't go anywhere because the book just ends after like issue 19. And that's kind of like, if you think about it, for the last 2 issues, like 18 is an aftermath of the Clone Conspiracy, 19 is just a standalone issue of her attempt to recruit to the Shield Academy, but it doesn't go anywhere because Cindy Moon herself does not much after this book wrapped up. And you're like, really? Like, is there a reason why the character doesn't do anything? Honestly, this is a character who I think that basically because her story is practically over. Pretty much in the way they kind of revealed the whole character of Fang. This is a character who appeared in the previous volume for the book. I guess they decided to resolve this storyline related to this character. Mockingbird herself will continue to appear in Marvel Comics some over this point forward. But in the case of what happened with Cindy Moon right after this book got canceled, there was a joke about it in the pages of Spider-Man Deadpool about her book being canceled. So Right after this, she popped up in a couple issues of Awesome Hulk, and then she popped up in Spider-Man Deadpool, which that's when they referenced her book being canceled. Also appeared in Incredible Hulk, more issues Spider-Man Deadpool, got tied up in Spider-Man Guy Den for a little bit, guest started issues Ghost Spider, part of the New Age of Atlas, part of the third volume of Age of Atlas. Was there for the first few issues of Atlantis Attacks. And then, for some reason, Nick Spencer decided to put her back in the book. Amazing Spider-Man throughout his run for the book until issue 57, and then eventually she got another volume. Which, by the way, I should point out, that when the first issue of this volume came out, you see, the last issue of this book, issue 19, was released on April 19, 2017. So it took her 4 years later to get another miniseries. Yep. Yeah. She got a miniseries. One of like 3, I think it was. Yeah, 3. Yeah. She appeared in that. I will discuss basically her miniseries at some point. She got a couple more volumes, while appearing also in Cursed Man-Thing of the Marvels, appearing in the End of the Spider-Verse story, and then she got another miniseries, appeared once again in the Spider-Gwen the Ghost Spider, where she's here as sort of like a guest star. Also appeared in Spider-Boy, appeared in the Spider Society book. Yes, the Spider Society book, which came after the previous Spider-Verse miniseries. Basically, her appearances outside of a few miniseries have been very, very sporadic. Yes. So over the course of the past 8 years, you would think that this character has not done a lot, and you would be correct. She has not done very much at all. Pretty much, she's been a guest star. Totally Awesome Hulk, Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man Deadpool, Amazing Spider-Man occasionally. Appearing in the only major book she was appearing in aside from her own miniseries was Spider-Guy Den, Water Realms, Age of Atlas, third volume Age of Atlas, Atlantis Attacks, back in Amazing Spider-Man. But yeah, it's almost like people at Marvel just do not know what to do with her. No. Oh, in case you're curious though, the answer to the obvious question: after Spider-Verse, did Dan Slott ever write this character again? Well, he wrote her once. Actually, a couple times. The only times he wrote her after the original Spider-Verse crossover wrapped up, because okay, so her first volume lasted for 7 issues. He didn't write that. No, that was Robbie Thompson. So after the Spider-Verse event, the next time Dan Slott would write a story featuring Silk, let's see, I don't think he read this one. Because she did get like a backdoor pilot issue in Amazing Spider-Man. Let's see. Nope. Let's see. So, the next time after Spider-Verse, the next time that Dan Slott would ever write the character of Spider-Gwen would actually be in the Clone Conspiracy story. Mostly put him as an experiment in Clone Conspiracy and Clone Conspiracy Omega. After that, you think, did he write Spider-Gwen? No, that was Crystal Cage. But after Clone Conspiracy, the next time that Dan Slott would ever write the character of Sandy Moon, this might surprise you. He would not write her again for about 6 years. Yes. Basically, he would not write Sandy Moon again until the end of the Spider-Verse story. After the Spider-Verse, he He wrote her in a few issues of Spider-Boy. Yes. As a guest star. Yep. And you probably think he did write Spider Society? No, that was a completely different writer. Yeah, she gets a split Spider-Man, but that was Greg Weiss. But in a way, I think that Slott just probably allowed other people to write her because he only wrote her a few times after he basically wrapped up what he wanted to do with her in the Spider-Verse stuff. So, will I review the next 3 miniseries? Yes. Yes, I will. I get the book roughly a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on Silk Volume 2. A very interesting volume. And it's a good thing Robert Thompson still gets occasional work on Marvel, but he's not exactly a really big name in Marvel, per se. No. But I do enjoy his work. Next up is B.P.R.D. 1948. Don't worry, this will not be the last B.P.R.D. book I'll discuss. Of course, written by Mac Manelli and co-written by John Esriti. Artwork by Max Puma. Mostly put, basically, it's the whole thing is set, of course, in 1948 in the Utah desert, and most of it more to vampires. But here's a character moment with this book. At the end of this miniseries, Hellboy is considering cutting off his horns. Something he wears like flat for him, and I really like that the present day. So basically, this book is kind of leads to him making that decision about himself. But this book is really, really good. Give it roughly a 9 out of 10. Excuse me. And I looked this up. So, for B.P.R.D., the main ongoing series is all done. Apparently, I've reviewed all of the short stories related to B.P.R.D. So you're thinking, okay, I got this done here. There was an issue of one of the stuff related to the main book, which was published as a one-shot. But you're probably thinking, with this done, for a book just called B.P.R.D., what is there left to go for this series? Well, one miniseries. B.P.R.D. Vampire. And that's it. Yeah, just that one miniseries. After that, I'm done with the main B.P.R.D. book. Yeah, there's still Hellboy B.P.R.D., obviously, but as B.P.R.D. itself, yeah, once I get done with one miniseries, I'm done with B.P.R.D. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up, Scooped Up at S Rank Adventure. Okay, next video. Bye.